response analysis from the control system class. Okay. So first of all, we should know what is meant by time response of the system. So here we are having a system which will be controlled, okay, which will be having a controlled output. Therefore, it is called as a control system. So that controlled output or response of the system can be analyzed as the function of time, okay, which is called as a time response. So this time response consists with the two parts. One is a transient response, other one is steady state response. Okay, so the combination of both the thing is called as a total time response of the any system. Okay, so here the transient response will be the response which will be having a output of the system. Okay, when t tends to infinity, so it will be having a zero. Okay, so that is called as a transient response. So here the steady state response of the system can be the response of the system of when t tends to infinity, it will be our total responses. Okay, so that is called as a steady state responses. You are having an input and you are getting output. Okay, so here if you are having any error, okay, so that can be determined when t tends to infinity. That is called as a steady state error. Okay, so here we are having a steady state response of the output which will not match with the input. So on that case, we are getting error. So that kind of error when t tends to infinity, okay, whatever the error is obtained, that is called as a steady state error. So which always denoted in terms of ESS. Okay, so now we take with the various input signals. What are the standard input signals? So first one is step input signals. So it is the input signal. You can take with the example for the electrical side as the voltage source, which always connected in series with the switch. When it is in the open, the voltage will be taken in voltage output will be taken in between the two terminals 1 and 2. Okay, so when t equal to 0 or t less than 0, so you will be having a output as 0. Okay, so if when t equal to 0, okay, t less than 0, you are having a no output. Okay, so when t equal to 0, the input is been rises and it goes to the maximum value, and then when t increases slowly, then it remains as a constant value k. Okay, so this is the thing of your step response. So based on this, we can write the step input signal in terms of mathematical equation. So therefore, here we can take v of t as a 0 when t less than 0. Okay, v of t will be constant value for t greater than 0. Okay, so greater than or equal to 0. So that is the thing. So that is been taken in, written in terms of mathematical thing. So if you are having a maximum value as 1, then it is called as a unit step input signal. Okay, so this is the mathematical equation of unit step input signal. So here we can also write the R of t for the unit step input signal will be 0 for t less than 0. So here R of t will be equivalent to k or a. Okay, you can have any constant for t greater than or equal to 0. So if you are having a Laplace transform, so always the Laplace transform is been defined as the Laplace function of f of t will be equivalent to 0 to integral of 0 to infinity u of t into e power minus st dt. So that will be equivalent to 0 to infinity. For the unit step input signal, you will be having 1 and e power minus st into dt. Okay, so if you are applying a limit, so then you can have first upper limit. Okay, so therefore 0. So minus of minus plus 1 by s, e power 0 is 1. So therefore 1 by s is comes. So the Laplace transform of unit step input signal always in terms of 1 by s. Okay, so this is the thing. So the second input signal is nothing but your ramp input signal. So the ramp input signal always starts from the origin. When t increases slowly, okay, so the input signal also increases. So it's linearly increases. Okay, so the magnitude of the input signal is linearly increases with respect to time. So which is called as a ramp input signal. So here you can write the mathematical equation for the ramp input signal. R of t is equal to 0 for t less than 0. So that is obvious. When R of t equal to k times of t. Okay, why? Because it linearly increases with respect to time. So the magnitude of the input signal is linearly increases with respect to time. That's why. So it is being taken in terms of k into t for t greater than or equal to 0. So that is the correct. So the waveform for the ramp input signal can be written as like this. Okay, so then we can take with the Laplace transform for this. So here you can take the Laplace transform of r of t, which will be equal to r of t into e power minus st into t. So r of t is nothing but a k into t. So here you are having a constant k, so it will be taken into out. So you are having a t into e power minus st. As usual, you can apply the limits, and then you will be getting k divided by s square. So r of s for the ramp input signal is nothing but k divided by s square. For unit ramp input signal, always the magnitude becomes 1. Okay, so therefore k is equal to 1. So if you are substituting for a unit input signal, r of s becomes 1 divided by s square. That will be the equation for unit ramp input signal. We should not forget that. Okay, so the waveform for the unit ramp input signal will be look like this. Okay, so we have been completed with the two input signals, and then next we go with the parabolic input signal. Okay, so here the input signal will be increases as the square of the time. Okay, so that is the definition for the parabolic input signal. So here you can write the mathematical equation for that. R of t will be equivalent to 0. That will be equivalent to k. That will be for t less than 0. Okay, when t is greater than or equal to 0, you will be getting square of the variations. Okay, so therefore k into t square divided by 2. Okay, so here you can apply for the k value is equal to 1. That will give the unit parabolic signal. Therefore the mathematical equation for the unit parabolic input signal will becomes r of t is equal to 0, t less than 0. R of t is equal to k is becomes 1. Therefore t square divided by 2 for t greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so this is the mathematical function. Now we are going to apply the Laplace transform for this. So if you are applying as usual, you can have t square divided by 2. So if you are applying a Laplace transform for this, you can have the resultant as k divided by s cube. Okay, so that will be the RFS value for the parabolic input signal. If you want to have the unit parabolic input signal, the RFS becomes 1 divided by s cube. That's all. Okay, so now you can have the input signal waveform. So here t has been increases from 0 to any value. So it will be having a parabolic signal. Okay, so that means the input signal is been varies as the square of the time. Okay, so that's why it is gets as a parabolic shape of the signal. So this is the waveform for the parabolic input signal. And then we go for the impulse response. So impulse response is best example is a sudden shock. Okay, so somebody has been pinching you, so then on that particular time only we can experience the pain. Okay, so that particular time the magnitude of the signal will be huge. Okay, so after that we will not experience the pain, or after that the magnitude of the signal will be vanished. Okay, so that is the thing. So when t is equal to 0, on that particular time only it will be having a maximum magnitude. So t less than 0, t greater than 0 will not get the signals. Okay, so that is nothing but your impulse signal. Okay, so we can also have the mathematical equation for the impulse signals, impulse input signal. So always this will be denoted in terms of del of t. That will be equal to 0 for t not equal to 0. So del of t will be magnitude is high. Okay, therefore infinity when t equal to 0. So this is the definition for the impulse input signal. So you can also have the Laplace transform for the impulse input signal. So you can take the Laplace transform for the impulse input. So you will be getting s into 1 divided by s. Therefore, you will be having 1. Okay. So here we are having a various kinds of input signals. R of t for unit step input signal, that is 1, and R of s becomes 1 by s. For unit ramp input signal, R of t is equal to t. Okay. So here it will be getting R of s becomes 1 divided by s square. Unit parabolic input signal will be 1 divided by t square divided by 2. Okay. So here you will be getting 1 divided by s cube. For impulse unit or unit impulse or impulse signal, so we will be getting del of t for the R of t. R of s becomes 1. So these things is a very important. We should remember so that the problems can be easily solved. Okay. So then we can go for the various kinds of responses for the system. So the system will be classified based on the based on the order of the system. Okay, for example, how we can determine the type number and order of the system. So the type number will be always determined as the location of the poles in the system. Okay, if the poles are located at the origin, okay, so how many poles are located at the origin, depending upon this we can say which is a type 0 system, type 1 system, type 2 system, like that. If there is no pole at a origin, then the type 0 system. So if there is a one pole at a origin, then it is called as a type 1 system. If there is a two pole at a origin, then it is called a type 2 system, like that. Okay, so order of the system is nothing but the highest s power in the denominator gives you the number of order of the system. Okay, so here you can able to see we are taking a closed loop transfer function, which is nothing but CFS divided by RFS, which is equivalent to 1 divided by ST plus 1. Okay, T is nothing but your time constant, S power is 1. That's why it's called as a first order system. So here we are going to take the response, we are going to obtain the response, that is nothing but your CFS. RFS is nothing but obviously the input signal. Okay, so now we are going to determine the response for the unit step input signal. Okay, so for the unit step input signal, RFS is nothing but 1 divided by S, that just we have been known. Okay, so we can substitute that over here in the CFS. CFS is becomes 1 divided by ST plus 1 into RFS. Instead of RFS, just we are going to substitute 1 by S. So here two S domains are multiplication, therefore we cannot be able to directly apply the L inverse. So we should apply the partial fraction before that, and then we can apply the L inverse. So for this, if you are applying a partial fraction for the CFS, we get 1 divided by S minus T divided by 1 plus ST. That means A value is 1, B value is minus T. So you have to apply the partial fraction and determine the constant value, substitute that, and you will be getting a CFS after this. Okay, and then once you get that equation, you can apply the Laplace transform for this. 1 by S is nothing but 1, and 1 divided by S plus A is nothing but e power minus AT. So since here we are having a T 1 by T, therefore you are having a minus T divided by capital T. So now you are having a various T, small T is been there. You can take any value for the T. Okay, if you are substituting, then you can get the C of T. Okay, so based on this, you can draw the unit step response for the first order system also. For when, for example, when a T small t is equal to 0, e power 0 is 1. Sorry, e power 0 is 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. So that's why you got that initial value. So okay, so when the t is equal to 0, so C of t becomes 0. So then you are slowly increasing the t value. So t is, you are increasing 1. Okay, so then you will be getting a maximum value as like this. Okay, so and then similarly 2t, for t, 3t, 4t, like that. When t tends to infinity, okay, so t tends to infinity is nothing but 0. Okay, so when t tends to infinity, it's nothing but 0. So 1 minus 0 is nothing but 1. So C of t becomes 1. When t tends to infinity, you are getting a steady state output, that is 1. Okay, so that is that is how you are getting your C of t responses for various values of t. You have to substitute that into your C of t equation, and then you will getting a magnitude. Based on this, you can draw the response also. Okay, so that is the first case, and then we can go for the time response for the first order system with the unit ramp input signal. So we already know what is meant by first order system transfer function, which is nothing but 1 divided by ST plus 1. And here CFS is nothing but 1 divided by ST plus 1 RFS. So for the unit ramp input signal, we already know RFS is equal to 1 divided by S square. So here we will be having CFS is equal to 1 divided by S square, 1 plus ST. Okay, so here you can able to see two S domains are in multiplication. So we have to apply the partial fraction. Okay, and then determine the constant value, substitute that, and then you will be getting a final CFS as like this: 1 divided by S square minus T divided by S plus T into 1 divided by S plus 1 by T. Okay, so now apply the Laplace inverse Laplace for this. So if you are applying inverse Laplace for this, CFS becomes C of t. 1 divided by S square is nothing but T square, and here T is constant. 1 divided by S is nothing but 1, and here T is constant. 1 divided by S plus 1 divided by T is nothing but e power minus T divided by capital T. Okay, so that is how we are getting this. So here you can able to see this one, T minus capital T plus T into e power minus T divided by T. Okay, so here you can take the values. So this is your response for the unit ramp input signal. So now similarly, you can take various T values and you can obtain the response for this also. Okay, and then we can also determine the first order system response for the impulse input signal. Okay, so for the impulse input signal, so we already know RFS is nothing but 1. Okay, just you can substitute that 1 divided by st plus 1 into 1. So here you can take the constant outside, you will be getting 1 divided by t, 1 divided by s plus 1 divided by t. So apply the inverse Laplace, directly you get 1 divided by t into e power minus t into t. Okay, so here you can able to see the responses for the unit ramp as well as impulse. Unit ramp pathina, here you will be getting a linear variation. Okay, so if you are having any error, so then you get the steady state error as in this deviation like this. Okay, so for the impulse response, so the C of t is nothing but 1 divided by t per minus t divided by t. Therefore, when t equal to 0, okay, you get maximum value as 1 by t. When t is further increases, t tends to infinity, again C of t becomes 0. So you get the decreasing value maximum to the minimum. Okay, when t tends to infinity. So this is the response for the impulse input signal for the first order system. Okay, so if you have any doubts up to this, so here we have been taken various kinds of things. For the unit step input signal, 1 minus C of t is 1 minus e power minus t divided by t. For unit ramp input signal, C of t is equal to t minus capital T plus capital T e power minus t divided by t. For unit impulse input signal, C of t becomes 1 divided by t e power minus t divided by t. Okay, so this is your various responses for the first order system for various input signals. Okay, so if you are familiar with this, so then we can go for the second order, higher order systems. For example, for the higher order system, we will be having two important parameters, that is a natural frequency and the damping ratio. Okay, so the damping ratio is nothing but the ratio between the actual damping to the critical damping. Okay, so here depending upon the damping ratio, we can also classify the system as the undamped system, underdamped system, critically damped system, and overdamped system. Okay, so here that is important thing. So here you can able to see we are having a open loop transfer function, which in terms of omega n square divided by s into s plus 2 del omega n, and we are having unity feedback control system. So whenever we are having a open loop transfer function with a numerator and denominator term, just you have to remember numerator. If you want to eliminate this negative feedback, just you have to remember numerator divided by denominator plus numerator into h. So if you are substituting that shortcut into this, you can get the CFS divided by RFS in a single term itself. Okay, that is omega n square divided by s into s square plus 2 del omega ns plus omega n square. Okay, so now you have our aim to determine only the CFS value. So RFS you can take into the right hand side. You can have CFS is equal to omega n square divided by s square plus 2 del omega ns plus omega n square into RFS. For the unit step input signal, RFS always 1 divided by s. So you will be getting a CFS is equal to that value. So now we are going to analyze various responses for various cases of the system. Okay, second order system. For first, we are going to take the underdamped system. So for this underdamped system, we will be having a CFS divided by RFS is equal to um, denominator is nothing but omega n square divided by s square plus 2 del omega ns plus omega n square. This is the value as we got the denominator value. So this is a quadratic equation. You can take this, okay, and you can determine the roots of this equation. So for this we can use the formula minus b plus or minus root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So here b is nothing but 2 del omega n and a is nothing but 1. C is nothing but omega n square. Okay, so if you are substituting that, you are getting a roots as like this, minus del omega n plus or minus omega n into root of del square minus 1. Okay, so here you can able to see when del is less than minus 1. Okay, so then we get the minus 1 will be more. Okay, so on that case, so you can take the minus 1 commonly outside. You can have root of minus 1 is nothing but j. So therefore omega n into root of 1 minus del square also. You can write as this equation as like this also. Okay, so here we are having a plus root and complex conjugate roots. So whenever we are having underdamped system, we always the roots of the system always complex conjugate in nature. Okay, so that we have to remember. So here you can write this same closed loop function for the second order system as omega n square divided by s plus del omega n plus j omega d plus s plus del omega n minus j omega d. So here omega n, omega d can be taken in terms of damped natural frequency, which is nothing but omega n into root of 1 minus del square. So now you can take this CFS, okay. CFS is equal to omega n square divided by s square plus 2 del omega n s plus omega n square into s. Okay, so two s domains are in multiplication. We have to apply the partial fraction, determine the a value, b value, c value. A value is 1, b value is minus s, c value is minus 2 del omega n. Therefore, minus has been commonly taken out, and if we can write s plus 2 del omega n divided by s square plus 2 del omega ns plus omega n square. So then s plus 2 del omega n you can split into s plus del omega n and then plus del omega n. 2 del omega n can be splitted into del omega n, and then you can separate this two term into three terms. So 1 divided by s minus s plus del omega n divided by s plus del omega n the whole square plus omega d the whole square. So in order to obtain this step, so what we have to do, we are going to take this denominator, okay. So this has to be added and subtracted by del square omega n square, okay. So if you are adding, so s square plus 2 del omega ns del square omega n square can be taken as a plus b the whole square form, okay. And then you are having omega n square, and then we will be having a minus del square omega n square. So in that, if you are taking a common omega n square commonly outside, you will be getting 1 minus del square. So that will be equal to omega d square, okay. So therefore you can write the CFS in this form, okay. And then we can go with the next thing. That is what here also we have done. So we are having a three terms. One is 1 divided by s plus 2 del omega n divided by denominator, del omega n divided by this, okay, denominator. So in here, what we are going to do, we are having a third term. The third term has to be multiplied and divided by omega d. Okay, so omega d is being multiplied and divided by the third term. Okay, so after done that step, apply the L inverse. So 1 by s, if you are applying a L inverse, then you will be getting 1. So s plus del s divided by s square plus a square is nothing but your cos omega dt. Okay, and then s plus term e power minus del omega nt. And then del omega n divided by omega d comes as it is, since it is a constant. So you have a divided by s square plus a square. Therefore, it is sin omega dt. Okay, so then we can have the s plus term. Therefore, e power minus del omega nt comes. So instead of omega d, what we have to do again, omega n into root of 1 minus del square, we have to substitute. So if you are doing that and you are taking a common term commonly outside, so you will be getting 1 minus e power minus del omega nt cos omega dt del square divided by 1 root of 1 minus del square, so sin omega dt like this. So here what we are going to do, we are going to take the denominator commonly outside. So therefore cos term is been multiplied by root of 1 minus del square. So here already is that, therefore it's only multiplied with del into sin omega dt. So now we are going to consider the right angle triangle. So here hypotenuse is 1, opposite side is root of 1 minus del square, and adjacent is del. So here sin phi is nothing but your 1 minus del square, cos phi is nothing but your del, tan phi is nothing but your opposite divided by adjacent. So if you are considering that, you are substituting that into the C of t, we can get 1 minus e power del omega nt divided by root of 1 minus del square. So here sin a cos b, cos a sin b is there. Okay, so therefore we can substitute sin a plus b, sin omega dt plus phi. Okay, so this is your final response for the underdamped case for the second order system response. Okay, so this is the response for the underdamped case. So okay, so here RTT is equal to 0. It's initially started, and the exponential increases exponentially with the sinusoidal nature. Okay, and then when t tends to infinity, it will be settled in final value. Okay, final steady value with allowable tolerance. Okay, so this is the response for the second order system. So this is very important, the procedure and the formula C of t we should know. Okay, C of t for the underdamped case is 1 minus e power minus del omega nt divided by root of 1 minus del square sin omega dt plus phi. So then we can go for the critically damped case. So here you can able to see del value is equal to 1. Okay, so under damped case, always del value is less than 1. So for the critically damped, the del value is being taken as 1. Okay, so if you are substituting that into the transfer function, okay, so we will get only the omega n square divided by s plus omega n the whole square. Why? Because del value is 0, therefore you will be getting s square plus 2 omega n into s plus omega n square, which is nothing but s plus n omega n the whole square form. Okay, so therefore you will be getting like this. So here r of s has been taken into right hand side, you get omega n square divided by s into s plus omega n the whole square. So again you have to apply the partial fraction, determine the constant value, substitute that, you get finally 1 divided by s minus 1 divided by s plus omega n minus omega n divided by s into s plus omega n. Okay, now apply the L inverse. You will be getting 1 by s is nothing but 1 minus of 1 divided by s plus, therefore e power minus omega n into t, and then a divided by s plus a is there. Already 1 divided by s is there. So 1 divided by s is the t, and omega n comes as it is. 1 divided by s plus omega n is the e power minus omega n into t. So now in the second term and third term, e power term is commonly available. Take that commonly outside, you will be getting 1 plus omega n into t. Okay, so now you can take various t value and substitute that into the c of t. You will be getting the response for this also. Okay, so for the critically damped, always the response will be similar with your first order unit step input response. Okay, so you can able to see we are having a transient response. Okay, and then we are having a steady value when t tends to infinity. So we are having a combination of both the things. Okay, here also you can able to see the damping ratio is nothing but ratio of actual damping to critically damped. Okay, so here you can able to go for the next thing, that is undamped case. So here if the system is being considered with the del is equal to 0. For example, we already know the transfer function for the second order system is omega n square divided by s square plus 2 del omega ns plus omega n square. Here del is considered to be 0. So therefore omega n square divided by s square plus omega n square. So r of s can be taken right hand side. You will be substituting that. You can apply the partial fraction. You can able to see a divided by s plus b divided by s plus omega n square, and then you can finally determine the a value, b value, c value. A value is nothing but 1. You can able to see c of s into s. S is equal to 0. So s gets cancelled. S square is 0 now. Omega n square divided by omega n square is equal to 1. Similarly, if you want to determine the b value, you can take s square is equal to minus omega n square. So s is equal to minus. Okay, so therefore you will be getting j omega n. So you can take the c of s, b over the denominator multiplied, and s is equal to j omega substitute. We can substitute. Okay. So here we can substitute that numerator and denominator gets cancelled. Omega n square divided by s comes. So instead of s, what we are going to do, we are going to substitute j omega n. Omega n, numerator omega n, denominator omega n gets cancelled. Denominator j comes into the numerator as minus j. So minus j into omega n. So j omega n is already is nothing but your s. Therefore b value is minus s. So now you can substitute that. So 1 divided by s minus s divided by s square plus omega n the whole square. S divided by s square plus omega n square. Therefore, you can have the Laplace transform for this as cos of omega d into t. So that's why we are getting 1 minus cos omega n t. This is your response for the undamped case. Okay. So here we can have the unit step input signal has been applied to the second order system, and we are getting a undamped case of the second order system. So here we are getting the response as 1 minus cos omega n t. So therefore we are getting a response as like this. It being starts with a 0 and it gets the response as like this. Okay, and then we can go for the overdamped case. For the overdamped case, the del value is assumed to be greater than 1. Okay, so here the roots will be real and distinct. That means different. Real and the roots are real and unequal, then it is considered as a overdamped system. Okay, so if the roots are real and equal, then the system is said to be critically damped. If the roots are complex conjugate in nature, then we will be having a underdamped system case. Okay, so these are the various things. So here we are going to take the CFS divided by RFS, omega n square divided by s square plus 2 del omega ns. So here del value is greater than 1, therefore you are going to take the roots as it is. So here a plus value will be S1, minus value will be S2. So here we are getting that as S1 is equal to minus S1, S, okay, and S2 is equal to minus SB, like that. Okay, we are going to consider the roots as like this. So then you can substitute instead of that omega n square divided by S plus S1, S plus S2. Okay, then you can do the, you can take the RFS equal to that side and apply the partial fraction A value, B value, C value. Okay, so and then substitute the that values into the CF CFS. Okay, then apply the L inverse. So if you are, you can able to see omega n divided by root 2 into root of del square minus 1, this and all constant comes as it is. So 1 divided by S1 comes as it is, 1 divided by S plus S1 e power minus S1t. Okay, and then here 1 divided by S plus S2 e power minus S2 into t. So now common terms has been taken commonly outside. So you will be getting a C of t is equal to 1 minus omega n divided by 2 into root of del square minus 1 e power minus st divided by s1 minus e power minus s2 divided by s2. Okay, where s1 and s2 is nothing but this one. So this is how we have to determine the response for the Ward-Damped case. So then the response of the system will be commonly plays an important role depending upon the location of the poles. Okay, so here we should know what is meant by poles of the system and what is meant by zeros of the system. Okay, so here if you are having a transfer function, you can able to see in the diagram A. Okay, so the transfer function consists of numerator s plus term, denominator s plus term. Numerator s plus terms are denoted as the zeros of the system. Denominator s plus term always denoted as the poles of the system. Poles of the system will always indicated in the S-plane as a small empty circle. Zeros of the system will be uh, indicated as a small empty circle. Poles of the system always denoted as small cross, okay, X. So this is the location of the poles. So poles S is equal to minus 2. It's nothing but 1, 0. S is equal to minus 5. Is one pole is available. Okay. So depending upon the location of poles, so we can have the different responses in the system also. For example, if you are having a transfer function as like this, so here you can able to see the poles are real and this unequal. So in this case, you can able to see the responses will be as like this, but it will be similar with the critical damped response, but the magnitude will be lesser. Okay, that means that the transient time will be lesser when compared to the critically damped. That is the main important thing. And then we will be having underdamped case. That means the roots are complex conjugate. You can able to see we are having a J also. Okay, so complex conjugate means we will be having exponential and sinusoidal varying nature. Okay, so therefore we are getting a response as like this. Here you can able to see undamped case. That means the purely imaginary roots. Okay, so the undamped case will always consist with purely imaginary roots. Then you will be having a responses as like this. So here you can able to see critically damped. The roots are real and equal. Okay, in this case, the transient response will be more. Okay, the transient time will be more. Okay, so it will be when t tends to infinity, it gets a final steady value. So these are the various transfer functions, nature of the poles. Depending upon that, it will be located in the S-plane. So depending upon the location of the pole, the responses will be analyzed into the system. This is also very important inference that will be learned from various derivations which we have discussed now. Okay, so then we can go with time domain specifications, which is very important, which consists of 5 time domain specifications: delay time, rise time, and the maximum peak overshoot, okay, and the peak time and the setting time. So these are the various time domain specification we discuss one by one also. Okay, so first we can go with the delay time. So time required to take the response to reach 50% of final value is nothing but a delay time. Okay, or we can also say it is a 50% of rise time, which is nothing but your delay time. Okay, so rise time is nothing but it is the time taken by the response to reach the 100% of final value, which is called as a rise time. Okay, for example, if it is an underdamped system, okay, so final value will be taken will be 0 to 100%. If it is a critically damped, so the final value will be calculated between 5% to 95%. If it is over damped, then the final value will be 10% to 90%. So that is very important. We should know in order to solve the various kinds of problems. Anyhow, if you want to determine the rise time, so we have to take the CFT for the underdamped case, obviously. So we have to take the TR is equal to T is equal to TR. Okay. So and then instead of 5, we are going to substitute tan inverse of root of 1 minus del square divided by del. So these are all important things we already know. So here we are going to take this CFT as equal to 1. Why? Because 0 to 100% final value reach panana, final value is 1. 1 is nothing but 100%. So in that case, okay, CFTR badala 1 and substitute pannom, and then wherever T is there, TR we are going to substitute. So 1 minus e per del minus del omega nt divided by root of 1 minus del square sin omega n into root of 1 minus del square plus 5. And here we can able to see 1 minus 1 becomes 0. So here we are having exponential term, and then we are having a sinusoidal term. Exponential term is cannot be equal to 0. Okay, so therefore we are, this sinusoidal term should be 0. Then only the resultant becomes 0. Okay, so therefore we are going to take the sinusoidal term and we are going to equal to 0. Okay, so for which values we are getting the sign value as equal to 0 means sign of n5 values. Okay, so when n is equal to 1, like that. So here you can take sign will be getting cancelled, and you can get omega d plus TR. Okay, so omega d we can substitute omega n into root of 1 minus del square TR plus phi equal to pi. Okay, so here pi is there equal to that side, the right hand side if you are moving, and then pi minus phi. Okay, and omega n into this. So this is in the multiplication. Okay, you can take that into the denominator right hand side. So therefore TR is nothing but pi minus theta. Okay, pi minus theta divided by omega n into root of 1 minus del square. So instead of theta, you can substitute a minus tan inverse of root of 1 minus del square divided by del omega n into root of 1 minus del square. Okay, so then we can have the peak time. So in order to determine the peak time in any mathematical equation, okay, so we have to take that equation and you have to differentiate that with respect to variable and equal to 0. Then you can get the maximum peak values. Similarly, what we are going to do for this also. Okay, C d into CFT divided by dt, that is equal to 0. So you are going to differentiate this and equal to 0. Okay, so here if you are differentiating this, you can able to see if you are differentiating 1, that becomes 0. Okay, so e power term, if you are differentiating, so e power term on the here you can take this as a constant. Okay, so e power minus del omega nt divided by 1 minus del square. So sine term, if you are differentiating, we will be getting cos omega d into t plus theta. Okay, and then omega d will be multiplied, plus sine term can be kept as constant. We are going to differentiate the exponential term. If you are differentiating the exponential term, you will be getting del omega n divided by root of 1 minus del square e power minus del omega n into t, that is equal to 0. Okay, so now you can take the exponential term will not be equal to 0. So here if you are doing that calculations, okay, so then you will be getting a sin cos of omega d into theta root of 1 minus del square sin omega d into theta plus sin omega d into t plus theta. Okay, so instead of root of 1 minus del square, we are going to substitute a sin phi. Instead of del, we are going to substitute cos phi. If you are substituting that, you can be able to get as like this also. Okay, so that means you can able to see sin phi divided by cos phi is equal to sin omega n divided by cos omega n t divided by 2. So here both the thing tan. Okay, so here you can able to see that will be getting cancelled. Tan gets cancelled. Omega n into root of 1 minus del square into t plus theta that is equal to tan phi. Okay, So here you can take the n value is equal to 1, 2, 3. So Tp is equal to pi divided by omega n into omega d. So instead of omega d, you can substitute omega n into root of 1 minus del square. Okay, so this is your peak time. Okay, and then we can go for maximum peak overshoot. So if you want to determine the maximum peak overshoot, it is the ratio of time difference between the final value to the maximum value. Okay, so that means a peak value to the maximum value to the final value divided by final value. Okay, so here we have to know what is meant by your final value, what is your maximum value. Okay, so we are going to take the c of t, that is equal to 1 minus e power minus del omega nt divided by root of 1 minus del square sine omega n into root of 1 minus del square plus theta. Okay, so here wherever t is there, we are going to substitute t is equal to tp. So instead of tp, we are going to substitute pi divided by omega n to root of 1 minus del square. So if you are doing that, you can able to see sine of this values, both the denominator get cancelled. Sine pi plus theta will come. Okay, sine pi plus theta is nothing but your minus sine theta. Okay, so minus into minus will be plus. So therefore, here instead of sine theta, you can substitute root of 1 minus del square. So numerator denominator gets cancelled. You will be getting 1 plus, that is 1 plus e power minus del pi divided by root of 1 minus del square divided by 1 minus del square. It will be coming as the answer. So sine theta bala, so it will be getting cancelled. You will be getting this 1 plus exponential term. Okay, this is your C of t value, maximum value. Okay, so C of final value is nothing but 1. We always know final value is nothing but your 1. So now we are going to substitute that into the maximum peak overshoot. C of Tp, maximum value, minus C of infinity divided by C of infinity. C of infinity is nothing but 1. Okay, so 1 minus 1 cancelled, divided by 1 exponential term. So therefore maximum peak overshoot is nothing but e power minus del pi divided by root of 1 minus del square. Okay, so if you want to determine the maximum peak overshoot in terms of percentage, then you have to multiply with 100. That's all. So then settling time. So you can able to see the response, underdamped response is being increases exponentially in sinusoidal nature. Okay, so therefore the settling time will be always depends upon your decaying exponential component. It doesn't depends upon your sinusoidal component. Okay, so therefore you have to take the decaying component only. Okay, exponential component. Exponential component consists with e power minus del omega n t. Okay, so therefore, if you are taking that is equal to 0, so you will be getting a settling time. Okay, so that is what we are getting. So here the settling time will be depends upon your 1 divided by del omega nt. For 2% of tolerance, 2% of error, you will be getting ts is equal to 4t, which is equal to 4 divided by del n. Okay, so for 5% of error, you will be getting 3 divided by del into omega n. Okay, so if you are having all the time domain specifications, then we can go for the steady state error. Already I have told the error is nothing but the comparison between the input and the output. Okay, so input is nothing but r of t, output is nothing but c of t. So when t tends to infinity, whatever the error is obtained, that is called as your steady state error. So this is a simple concept for the steady state error. So now whatever the thing we have been learned, based on this some problems will come. Okay, so these and all a simple one. So